Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's 100% Metroid Zero Mission. In the last part we started off the game and made our way through both Brinstar and a bit of Norfair, and now we have to head back up here to Brinstar because there's a few more items we have to get up here before we can progress any farther in any given direction. However, it's also at this point, after I get the items here in Brinstar, that you can actually do a similar thing to what I did back in Metroid 1, actually, where I went after Ridley first. Technically speaking, you could already be going after Ridley right now, but I actually do recommend you come and get the items I'm about to get, not only to increase your defenses, but also to get any extra ammo you can get before going after Ridley. Although, actually, I do think they actually finally got the balance right in terms of difficulty, because I do believe Ridley is a more difficult area than Kraid. Also, up here is an item I rarely ever go for, even though by this point, by the time you come up here, you're going to have the ice beam no matter what, missile tank. Though, mind you, more often than not, you actually are supposed to come here later, so that's probably the big thing there. I'm not supposed to be here until later. Looking at Zero Mission and Metroid 1, really, as an art style, though, I've always found it odd how this one section of Brinstar looks completely different from everything else in the game. No other area in the game has this tile set, and I still can't quite figure out why. I don't think this tile set's used anywhere else either. Either way, we do want to go up here because our Barrier suit upgrade is still in this general direction. So let's go and grab that. Oh, and here we actually have a very weird game mechanic. I don't quite get the purpose of why they added. The mites can destroy these balls, testicles. I don't know what they're supposed to be, and frankly, I don't want to know. You can actually come here before getting the high jump boots, and actually get up to where these platforms are by using the bomb jump. But that is incredibly hard to do. I've done it once. Mind you, I think I've done everything in this game once. And in fact, I was even looking at, well, first off, let's go over the Barrier Suit. Barrier Suit in this game is not only a defensive upgrade, like it was in Metroid 1, but it also finally protects us against high-temperature areas, and we no longer take damage from acid. No, not lava, acid. That's what the stuff outside is. Zero Mission technically considers what is normally lava acid and what is usually acid lava. And then there's a third type of thing that's only in, like, one room, so that's weird. We are still affected by underwater physics, though, no matter what we're in, so that kind of sucks. But over here, we at least have our second energy tank. So you guys might remember last part, I brought up the 100% speedrun times, for normal at least. And I was looking at the 80% normal speedruns. It's weird to think that, even though obviously I don't do speedruns, my best time is in the top 50. Because my best time for the game, real time, in-game time, rather, is 52:58. And obviously, the only kind of proof I have for that run is a screenshot I took of the ending image on Facebook. That technically means I have done pretty well in speedrunning this game at least once. Though, it's ridiculous to see this kind of stuff that speedrunners can do, especially in the Metroid series. Anyway, we want to go and grab those things and actually bring the mites down here because we can't get past that little tunnel behind them because there's a Chozo statue in the way. This is where the next Chozo statue is. However, I'm going to flat out ignore it because I have better things to do with my time than watch that cutscene. Even though I really do like the Chozo statue theme, that kind of weird gospel-y thing. Mind you, on the whole, Zero Mission is actually my favorite Metroid soundtrack because it's just full-out catchy. There is some atmosphere to the tracks all the same, don't get me wrong, but it's just more catchy to me. I love atmospheric music like Fusions. I like catchy atmospheric music like Primes and Prime 3 to a lesser extent. But I'll always like catchy music the most because it's something I can hum along to. Either way, in terms of our current destination, we could technically head back into Norfair and get some more stuff because now we can go past the room where the high jump boots was found. But I actually need something else first. I just kicked my mic stand. Sorry if that was audible. So we're actually going to head back towards where we started the game to head on into Kraid. I actually do think tackling Kraid in this game first is better because we get a new ability there that wasn't in the original Metroid, so we might as well, just for the sake of getting that earlier. And that is a pretty nifty ability. But first, I believe I'm going to go out of my way to get a missile pack up here. There's also our first super missile tank in here that we're going to see, but we're not going to be getting one of those until later. I could potentially, towards the end of the part, actually get said missile tank for a bit of a sequence break, but It's not worth it for me in the long run because it's better to come back here when I am actually heading up towards Torian. Now, the first thing we're going to do is get the energy tank that's in this room that's still there for Metroid 1 and Super Metroid. I can't freeze anything to get it this time, though, so I actually have to do the infinite bomb jump, which is so much easier to do in Zero Mission than it is in anything else, due to the way the physics work. I still think it's the most annoying to do in Super because of how oddly specific it has to be. Either way, Kraid's lair is located in the exact same place, and it still has that one face. So let's head on down here for my favorite song in the game. Well, favorite remix, rather. I love what they did with Kraid's theme. I'm also going in the save room because there's actually a hidden little passageway over here that leads to a missile tank. Kraid's theme has always been one of my favorite Metroid songs. I can't tell exactly what it is about it, though. Maybe it's the timing, it's just a really good melody in general. However, they've actually changed up Kraid's area a bit. There's now these little things on a lot of the ceilings that are like little ladders that you can't quite access yet. And because of that, we need to head in this direction now, and I'm not going to turn around like I did here in the original Metroid, because in order to turn those things on, we need to head into what was originally a dead-end circle in the original Metroid. I do like how they did that. They made areas that were completely pointless in the original Metroid actually have a point. And they made them for more than just missiles in some cases, too. It's always weird, though. I'm thinking, this song always reminds me of one thing. It's not just the fact that it's a good song. I'm sure we all had those times when we were kids on, like, the Game Boy Advance or DS where we were, like, playing a game in, like, a restaurant. For some reason, mostly because I played it a lot back when I used to play soccer, back when that was a thing, which, I don't like to remember that. I have distinct memories of playing all of Kraid's lair inside of a Moe's. When I was getting a taco. Bit random, but they had pretty good tacos over at Moe's, so. Either way, the thing we needed to do over here is actually this. Being a morph ball in this thing activates these little, I guess, I don't even know what to call these things. Conveyor belts? No, not conveyor belts. Grapple points, I guess. Either way, we need to activate them to proceed. So let's go through here and get back over to where that cannon was. Or we can face our next mini-boss, the Mua. The Mua is a very easy boss, especially if you have the Varia suit. It only has 3 attacks. Well, actually, no, 2. It can dive low or high like that, and it can try to raise the acid on us. But since I have the Varia suit, that does nothing. Suck it, Mua. This fight's very easy. There is a way to prevent it from raising the acid, and that's if you on the part of the pattern where it would use the acid, which I think is after 2 raises like that. You go to the higher of the 2 blocks. But as you can see, as long as you pump missiles into that fleshy part of it, it's not a hard boss. In fact, it's technically a mini boss. In terms of actual boss fights, this game only technically has 4 major ones and then just a lot of mini bosses. But then we get another missile tank, so it's all worth going through over here. And now we need to get back towards the main shaft of Kraid. You know, I never really thought about it before doing this little Metroid mini-marathon, but a lot of Metroid areas are just, or at least in like the Zero Mission, the original Fusion, Super, that kind of stuff, are basically just hallways between shafts. Because there's a lot of like large major shafts, that's what she said, that are your major way to get around a lot of the areas. Super less so than 1 and Fusion and Zero Mission, but it's weird to think about. Metroid 2, I guess, had that to an extent as well. Actually, very much so in some of the side areas, now that I'm thinking about it. But it's... level design like that's always weird. Also, I love the background here in Kraid, but I love the backgrounds in this game in general because they just look so cool. And I went in the wrong door. I do that every now and then. There are times in this game where I think ahead a step. But that's only because I've played it so much. This is easily not only my favorite Metroid, but also the Metroid game I've played the most. Even though I don't go for 100% too often. I think the amount of times I've played this game is upward in the 60s plus. And for a casual player like myself, that's kind of ridiculous. Mind you, I know some people that played like games like Final Fantasy VI that much, so I guess it's not too bad. Either way, if I were playing this game normally, I would actually not be going this direction because I'm going through like a giant looped room just to get a missile tank. If I were going normally, I'd actually have bombed the floor in the previous room in order to get to the next major destination. Also, I hate these spider crab things. They have a lot of health. Missiles, if you're good at spamming them, can take them down pretty quickly, but when I only have 35 of them, I want to keep them in close quarters. Or close to my heart. Whatever the term is. And that's another missile tank. Kraid is actually a pretty annoying area in terms of cleanup, though. Because when I eventually have to come back here for the last cleanup in the game, I'm only coming here for one missile tank. And that's pretty annoying to me. I mean, you could technically... No, actually, no, you can't get it here yet because you need the other thing from that part of the game. Never mind. Also, I am technically going against my usual here as well, because this room you don't need to enter at all. You may have noticed in the previous little green room there was a crack in the floor. That's where progress is, but I'm coming over here for another missile tank. Though, for me, it is pretty interesting, at least in my eyes, how I actually managed to get a grasp of 100% of this game pretty quickly. Because I was fairly shocked to find that I could get most of the items along the way. I could have sworn I needed to go out of my way more, but mind you, that might be my own playthrough's experience doing that to me. Because my first time going 100%, I think I went into the final area and got the checklist, because like Metroid Zero Fusion, when you beat the game and go into like either New Game Plus or reload your save file, you have a checklist. What the? Oh, hey, another unknown item. That one looks kind of familiar. As I was saying, you get a checklist when you beat the game again. And that's how I managed to 100% the game my first time. I managed to figure out where to go and how to get it just based off that checklist and just looked around everywhere I could. And that extended the game by like 5 hours. But knowing where everything is really does shorten the game because you can do a lot of it along the way. And doing this Metroid mini marathons made me realize these games are designed more like that than I remember them being. I do think that Zero Mission is better at it than Fusion, though. In some ways. I like how Fusion has the inter-area tunnels, but this game has you go out of the way for less. Either way, let's get back on topic, because, hey look, it's a Ghidorah! That dies in one missile. How pathetic. It's time for Big Boy Kraid, and he's pretty easy. Shoot a missile in his eye, and shoot it then into his mouth. He tries to swipe you with his claws and nails, and then tries to hit you with his belly button missile things. But if you know how to fight him, he's pretty quick. This is a much better fight than either of my original 2 playthroughs. My practice playthrough, he was already dead by this point, though, and it makes me sad I wasn't able to replicate that. Either way, Kraid, you gave me issues in my first 2 LPs, so suck it! Also, I talked really fast there. Also, I find it interesting you can't move past a singular part of Kraid. Also, yeah, obviously they upgraded Kraid to have his Super Metroid size. And in here we get the speed booster returning from Super Metroid. Retroactively, that's probably one of my favorite parts about Zero Mission, honestly. Because they managed to keep the level design very familiar while also changing it enough to the point where they can make the later abilities still very useful. By the later abilities, I mean the ones that were introduced in later games like 2 or Zero Mission. Or, Super, rather. Also, Shine Spark up here, and you skip that entire room. That was hell in the original game. Oh, yeah, the speed booster. It still works like it did in Metroid Fusion. You have to run in a direction long enough for it to activate. There's no run button yet again. I like it better this way still because Samus moves at a much brisker pace than in Super to start. And like before, if you jump while you're in, if you press down to charge the speed booster first, you can enter a Shine Spark mode, where if you jump, you can then fly in that direction. You need to be holding a direction, obviously, like horizontal, vertical, the L button if you want to go diagonal. You can also do it with the Morph Ball in this game, which I think you could technically do it with the Morph Ball in Fusion, but it's a lot more useful here. The fact they actually use it. Either way, we're almost done here in Kraid, because obviously we've killed the guy, we got the speed booster, which was the major reason I came here before Ridley. We are good to go, but there's still, I believe, 2 more items I want to get here. This one in particular is kind of annoying. What you have to do is bomb yourself, jump, and then get into that hole with the missile tank. I do recommend moving to the left of your bomb so you don't get jumped up by it. In my practice playthrough, I got this first shot, so I didn't practice it nearly as much as I thought I should have. It's not that annoying, but it can take some time. If you're doing a speed run, I recommend you actually save a bit more often than I do. Because saving does not take too much time at all in this game. I'm not even sure if it counts towards your actual in-game time. And if you come across some of the more annoying missile tanks or power bomb tanks, I recommend doing the 3 reset rule. Which, if you're not familiar with that, because a lot of games have that, is try it 3 times. If you fail and you still want to get it, reset. If you fail a 3rd time and you don't get it, move on. And here's an energy tank. Yeah, we went from 1 energy tank to 5 in one area. God, I love this game. Either way, that's Kraid for now. We won't be back here until, like, the second to last part. For one thing, so let's get the hell on out. Okay, that's a wall. So let's get back to Brinstar and head on our way. The space pterodactyl cometh. Also, that face to my right collapses. If you go through that wall where it was, you will find a Chozo statue that will point you in your next direction, but I'm skipping most of those, so... Welp. Also, use that cannon that's hidden there really cleverly. That's one of the missile tanks that took me the longest to find in my early playthrough, and you can get that missile tank. And now, our destination is the Norfair elevator. And it's here I could potentially do a side quest with the Morph Ball Speed Boost and Shine Spark. I could get super missiles earlier with that tank I saw earlier. But I'm not going to do that. First off, I don't want to take too long at the end of a recording session to try and get an item that might take me a bit. And secondly, well, first off, there is a missile I'm going to get here no matter what. I find that item more convenient to get later on. So I'm going to wait until I actually can get super missiles the real way, or what you're intended to at least, before I actually get any super missiles. If you want to get it though, what you have to do is run from the end of this little length here towards the left, out the door, hold your Shine Spark, go back through the door, more full Shine Spark, back through the door again. When you're in that room where I got the missile tank, when you're past the first little piece of Shine Spark block, Speed Booster blocks, press down, leave, Morph Ball, jump onto one of the platforms, and then Morph Ball, Shine Spark. It sounds complicated, but when you see it in like part 6 or 5, I forget exactly which, it's a lot simpler than you'd think. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 3, we'll be heading back down to Norfair to head towards Ridley's Lair, but not before getting a couple items along the way. See you guys then.